Hi, welcome to Adventures in Glass with Doug. That's me. Got another good project today. I think what we're going to do is take some of the glass that I recently thrifted, along with some pieces that I've had for a little while, and build a fountain, a solar fountain. And I've thought about whether or not I want to add any lights inside this, and this one's probably not big enough to have extra lights inside it. So we're going to just build a solar fountain today that should really spark the imagination. I think it's really cool. What do we have? We've got our basin, the bowl. Again, if you're going to do a solar fountain of any sort, you're going to need your basin, and inside this is where we will put our floating solar fountain. So if you are able to find big punch bowls, that's really the essential start. And we've got a base plate. We have two pieces that are going to be part of that overall structure. Two green vases, bowls, if you will, that are in the same color family, which really excites me. They're going to be good. They're really going to be good. Now, I've cleaned these up. They weren't in very bad shape, but, you know, they've had various things dumped in them. And I also have a light green plate that we're going to be using for that. So let's kind of review. We've got our pieces, our base, our middle structure, our bowl for the fountain, and then, of course, the essential, I always recommend it, is the adhesive that we use to glue these together. And I use the silicone because, for me, I can make repairs later on. If something goes wrong, I can separate the silicone off. It's easy cleanup for me. It's not messy, and I'm not worried about epoxies and that sort of thing. So that's what I use, is 100% silicone. You can find the link in my description. So please use that. That's what I did for mine. It's a little bit cheaper than buying it a tube or two at a time at the hardware store. Okay, so give me a second to get things lined up here with my silicone and my pieces, and we'll get started. Okay, my first two pieces are going to be these two, my base plate. And the reason I use a base plate is I really want to close off this volume here. I don't really want that. I don't want to be putting that directly down on the ground. So we're going to put these two pieces together first, and then for the same reason, I'm going to be putting this plate as a transition between this piece and this vase, again, because it has an opening and there's a large volume here, and it doesn't match exactly to the base of this one, so we want to put that plate in as a transition to kind of seal things off. So that's what we're going to do. And as you know, we run a rim of silicone in order to connect it. If you are a regular viewer to the channel, you know that one of the things I do is use this turntable to make sure that I have things lined up as symmetrically and as centered as possible. I find it to be a big help. And then once I put my bead down, I'll run my finger along the outside just to smooth that edge down to make sure we don't have any gaps in the seal. Sometimes, especially when you have a textured piece like we do on the bottom of this plate, if you've got uneven surfaces, you want to make sure all those nooks and crannies get filled, nooks and crannies. Not butter, but we're filling it with the silicone in the gap here. Yeah, that was a silly reference to English muffins. So sometimes you have to go back and run another quick bead of silicone if you happen to have an uneven or rippled surface below. Which is why some pieces are just not suitable for matching up if you're trying to take something with a scalloped edge to match it up against another piece. It just won't work, or it'll take an awful lot of silicone to fill in the gaps. So I try to look for pieces that are as flat and smooth as possible. And you know, you may have to just kind of wipe if you're concerned about the silicone that's left behind. Okay, I think we have a pretty good seal there that seems to be centered up and relatively level. Okay, next step is to get my plate on here. And I like to check just to see where my edges are going to match up. So in this case, I think I'm going to put my silicone there. I know I've cautioned this before. You have to be careful when you're doing too many pieces at once, too many stacks, because at some point you might be moving one of them in relation to the other. Now the key on this one is making sure that we're as level as possible. Okay. 3 pieces together, 2 joints, that'll be good. Our remaining 2 pieces are going to be this on top and the punch bowl. But because of the weight of the punch bowl and the weight of this piece and the fact that we have several of these that are going to have to dry, I want to let them dry so they're good and solid. And by letting them dry, I would say let's let them go overnight to make sure, but probably just about a minimum of 6 hours to make sure you're good and solid. But I think we'll come back to this tomorrow. Welcome back. Okay, these 3 pieces are dry. They're solid. I think what I'm going to do is add this piece to the top and then let that go for a couple hours or overnight. Make sure it's good and dry, because the bowl that I have, I've lifted that up. That's pretty heavy. So I do want to make sure that I have all of this solidly fastened down. And when we have this dry, we'll put that on. And then, of course, stick with it to the end. You get to see the reveal of what it looks like with water and its solar fountain and hopefully some sun to make it gurgle and spray and do all kinds of neat stuff. So, all right, let's see what we can do here. Well, we're back. I think my tower is now strong enough, dried enough, to be able to put the bowl on the top. So we're going to take this and put a bead of silicone on the base and then set it on top to finish this off. So it's going to mean I've got to move the camera a couple of times. So let me tilt this down so you can see what I'm working on here. And then we'll move it up when I'm doing the rest of it. Okay, here we go. Silicon's on. Now let me move the camera up so you can see the rest. I think we're pretty level. Hopefully you can see that. We're going to, when it all dries, take it outside, put some water in it, put the solar fountain in it, see how it works. But let me just give you a quick overview here in the shop. So far, it looks pretty good. So we'll see how it does outside. And for a little preview of some things I just got today, thrifting, not sure where I'm going to go with these, but I have another one of these, I guess they're called foil-backed plates, bowls. There was a thought that maybe that could work this way. Somehow, I also got this sphere and a votive, and gosh, the colors all seem to go pretty well, except I don't know. It's a thought. And I also got a much larger one, similar to the bird bath that I did once before, but I noticed that in the sun, not this one, but the other one lost some of its color brilliance, so I'm not sure what we're gonna do, but anyway, that's a teaser for what could be possible coming up.